Hello and welcome to, as we bounce along here, the power of you.
This is the power of you.
How you been today?
Wonderful. It has been it's been a good day. This has been a good day.
This is a good thing.
I'm doing good. This is rapidly approaching my end of my week today.
Yep.
It'll be goofing off the next couple of days. So
that's going to be a great thing to have in place here, which is all consistent with today's topic. How are you going to appreciate the time that you have?
Right. Exactly. It's about appreciation. It is that. Well,
yeah, this idea of appreciation. I mean, first of all, I'm just very appreciative that we get to be doing this together for a whole lot of reasons.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a little background. I don't know how to describe it, but just kind of set the context. That's it. We're going to set the context here. Years ago, out at I was back on the East Coast what's the name of the place? Something Holes in Massachusetts. It makes no difference here.
Many things with holes.
Yeah, it was a think tank, experience. But Warren Bennis happened to be there, and Warren Bennis, just a leadership guru who's written, I think, I have no idea how many books, 40 books, 50 books, something like that. Yeah. Consulted with about 8 different presidents in his lifetime. He made a comment about one of the most underutilized tools in a leader's quiver. I'm going to mix some metaphors here. And I said to him, Warren, what might that be? And he said, appreciation. I'm going, well, how is that underutilized? And he said, because people don't understand what it is. They think it's just a toss away sort of a thing. First of all, it costs nothing to do. But the upside, if you're actually understanding what it is, how to utilize it, and how to leverage it, you have got yourself a little golden arrow that can do amazing things.
Right.
In your organization. So that conversation has stuck with me, and that's, good Lord, that goes back almost 40 years in that conversation. So I was just beginning my leadership development journey at that point in time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where, when Doland and I were speaking about today's topic on Power of You, it was kind of like, let's do one around appreciation. And so that's what we're going to dig into today, folks.
Yeah. I love this topic today, Blaine, because this is one of those that gets taken for granted. We think about when we think leaders have this, when we talk about the definition of leadership, which we happen to have a slide on today.
Which we happen to do, yes.
Right. And movement. We forget about that component with people. There's this thing that needs to happen. So this is going to be, I'm going to enjoy this. It'll be fun today.
Yeah. So, we started this in the last program we did here, the last Power of You. We started leading the slide deck off, the conversation off.
Yeah.
Where's it screwed up? How do you know you got squeak? How do you know you've got a problem? Well, we're going to actually kind of unbundle that here, because there are symptoms that begin to appear when you're not utilizing appreciation well.
Right.
And these are some very obvious ones. This is not in any way, shape, or form meant to be exhaustive, but these are some of the high profile symptoms that come into play here when people just don't feel as if they're getting their back.
And I know we're live, and I think it looks like Blaine may have just paused, may have just locked up. So while he's unraveling that, I'll talk a little bit about symptoms, but just where Blaine was going with this, and that's quite a face, by the way. But let's talk about symptoms. From a symptoms perspective, disengaged employees, when appreciation doesn't exist inside of the body of your organization, we as leaders, management, which is not leadership, management, we rely on motivation. We rely on extrinsic things. We'll get the slot back. We're still on. Bear with us. We are professionals. Only professionals should be attempting to do this. So we'll get Blaine back here and we'll put that back up. And then we'll get back into the conversation around symptoms. In the meantime, I'll vamp since I think we are still alive. But there's that extrinsic. And think about it, right? As a leader, when you are managing, which means that you're providing resourcing, you're really and you're very tactical, task focused. When you're managing, not strategy or mindset or spirit of the business or imagination, the things that we talk about, you're really leaning in on how do I manage this? And motivation becomes a factor in that. Motivation is the cousin to inspiration, right? And we're going to spend some time talking about inspiration today. I'm assuming we're still alive. Not sure.
Yeah.
There we are.
Wow.
I was vamping.
Were you? Okay.
I was vamping on the very first symptom.
Okay. Well, that was weird.
Yeah, because you were, and it was a very attractive face that you were locked up on. So you look surprised. Fortunately.
Well, I had to switch to a slower connection here. We
really?
Got some sunspot activity, and we're working with Starlink here on the island, and
oh wow,
I think a satellite just got fried.
Oh, could very well have. We would the polarization of a flux capacitor when it gets flipped
the old
over
flux capacitor.
That's
Damn.
right. It was the flux capacitor. But I just briefly talked about symptom 1 about disengaged employees and management. And the fact that keyword is management, not leader.
Yep.
Management relies heavily on motivation, right? Which is extrinsic, not intrinsic. So you're using an external force to engage your staff, not an internal force to engage your staff.
Spot on.
So there's the first one. So now that you're back, you could do the second one.
Now I can do the second one. And if you're continuing to focus on motivation as your driver for employee engagement, you're going to end up literally with high staff turnover because it's not going to work. People are going to be basically, when people leave the company, they fired their management team. They fired their boss. That's one way to think about when people leave. You just got fired as a boss, as a manager. The consequence of having people not feel appreciated, not feel as if their contribution makes a difference, not having a link between what they're doing and a meaningful connection to what the organization is trying to produce, you end up with burnout. You end up with people saying, don't want to be here. And all of this, little sniping starts to come into play here. If only they would, finger pointing, blame. Yeah. I mean, all of the things that we talked about in the last series around total quality management, total leadership quality management with Edward Deming stuff. When you drive fear out of the workplace, when you begin to link meaning in the value chain that goes all the way through, people begin to feel valued. Until that happens, you're going to be dealing with employee issues. Yep.
It's going to, and it will haunt you. It kind of through the other symptoms that there's staff members are going to be passive. I love that sentence, passive at best.
Passive at best. Yep.
At best. They may be present.
Oh yeah. They're going to be there because they get a paycheck. So they're going to hang out for a while.
Yeah. I'm going to do what I'm allowed to get away with. I'm going to do that much.
And as soon as you stop watching me, all bets are off.
I'm done. Yeah. I don't have to be here. It's kind of like funny when I always enjoyed it, Blaine, back in the days when, there were low cubes, right? and people would you could see the ones that were wearing glasses staring in their screen. And it was fun to kind of watch across the room every now and then and see on the glasses who was playing solitaire.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there was a reflection. I could see little cards moving and stuff going on, but I'm looking busy. I'm busy, by golly.
I'm heads down here.
I'm busy, and I can switch screens quickly. And people just quit showing up.
They quit showing up. Yeah, they may show up physically, but they quit showing up.
Yeah, they're out.
Ultimately, what begins happening is you get a reputation. You and your company get a reputation. You as a manager or a leader, well, you don't want to work for that person. Or the company, well, you watch out for that. Yeah, you don't want to work for that company because it's a toxic place.
Yeah.
You have difficulty hiring. Word gotten out that you're not considered an employer of choice. And I don't care how much money you throw at people, it's not going to be enough to keep talented people that are intent on making a difference. If that difference is if the difference isn't being recognized, they're going to go find some place where they can get it recognized. Guaranteed.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned it because there's a, and I don't recall off the top of my head. I was just talking about this earlier this week. There's a hard statistic, and particularly with we talk about the fact that there are 6 generations in the workforce today.
Yep.
But the 3 newest generations, there's study after study after study after study that show that salary is not their motivator. Salary is important, but that appreciation and recognition and feeling valued and contributing and being a part of it is what inspires them to be a part of your organization. And if you're missing that piece, those are the generations you need to be focused on.
Yeah. So where this leads us to is, and I mentioned Warren Bennis. A little bit of a background on him, but from his perspective, there were 3 requirements that were needed to bring out the best in other people. And we're going to be talking specifically about number 1 here. These other 2, we can talk about this in reference to how we define leaders and leadership. But the first one here, develop people who feel a true obligation to know and understand each other. All an organization is, at the end of the day, is a collection of people in relationship. That's all any organization is. If the relationships are working well, you got a pretty good shot at being successful. And in order for relationships to work well, you got to know who people are. You got to understand what makes them tick. Why, what's there for the sake of what, for being there? Why do they do what they do? What's the intention that is behind the behavior? Because all you see is the behavior. You got to ask questions about what's the intention. Those sorts of things start to come into play here. And if you start developing a culture where people feel that they are required in large part, but they also feel obligated because they're part of something that matters. They feel obligated to go out and find out about that person. Who's my neighbor here? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Warren was adamant about that. He was absolutely adamant about that.
Yeah. And he was talking about it in the day when you're talking about 40 years ago.
Yep.
Right. That was not this kinds of thinking. Warren's thinking, Deming's thinking, since we just came out of the series with Deming, all of that was new, because when you were a leader in kind of in that era, the impact of being a leader wasn't this. It was, how do I move the needle? How do I get to the outcome? How do I increase my sales? How do I blah, 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 blah. And by gosh, if you can't help me do it, I'm going to find somebody else who can. Right.
Management by objectives, MBO.
Remember MBOs?
Oh, MBOs. Yeah. Managed by objectives.
That's right.
Hitting the target. That's so. One of the other things that he talked about, and this is where we're going to be, defining leadership here, is being a leader who models this. When you walk, when people walk in the morning into the office, the factory, the plant, wherever it is that your place of work is, even if it's remote, they pick up a pair of field glasses and they just start watching you. A microscope. What's important to him? What are they doing? I know he said that. I know she said that. But look at what they're doing.
Right.
I mean, yeah, all of a sudden it's on a jumbotron.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation.
yeah, but yeah, you're not walking the talk, and people notice that you're not walking the talk, and things go south real quick.
Yeah, especially if you're a CEO with your HR. Anyway, never mind.
Never
Different
mind.
conversation. Entire different jumbotron thing. But yes, no, that's very true. It is, and we'll talk about that a little bit in that definition of leadership, because it aligns it aligns specifically to who we show up as.
Yes, the state of being. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And then the final one here that Warren talked about, Dr. Bennis talked about, was fostering a shared belief that the task engages team members' hearts.
Right.
I mean, it's not just their minds. And this is where you start moving away from here's the business case for this, and here's the positive impact it's going to have. And it's about impact. What's the impact? Not the shareholder impact, but the other kind of impact.
Yeah.
The purpose of business is to uplift the experience of being alive on the planet. And if what we're doing taps into that, facilitates that in a way that's meaningful for the sake of what? And this is where what we've come to call the for the sake of what. Foster a belief in the for the sake of what that engages people. This moves us away from motivation and into inspiration.
Yep. Yeah, very good.
And how that gets done, and we're not going to go into any detail on this at all, but Doland and I both work with these models. And these are the two primary models that we work off of. Leadership takes place within a universe, an organizational universe. The leadership universe most focuses on the vision, the strategy, and the tactics, the why, the what, and the how. What we want to do and where we actually get the greatest bang for the buck is when we start learning how to work at mindset. And that's what this conversation today is about, is the mindset around appreciation. Most people don't understand it. Most people have a pretty boxed in, narrow understanding of how to utilize it. The mindset needs to shift. How I think about it makes a difference. And this is where imagination begins to come into play. If you're working this well, you tap into something we call spirit. That joie de vivre, that it's kind of like, I can't wait to come to work today because I get to be and do this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. People get excited.
Yes.
That's the universe in which we work. And then the 4 pillars is basically the foundational work that makes it possible to navigate this leadership universe.
Yeah. 4 pillars came from, all of this is derived from our experiences. I think, I don't know, we last counted, we've like almost 90 years doing this combined together. Yeah. But really the 4 pillars, that's it's not 4 discrete things, but it is a model, a life model that allows you to use these components to how do you do mindset? What things are you looking for? How do you use imagination? How do you use spirit and soul so that you create that organization that not only has sustainable success, but scales, picks up velocity because people have trust and they're empowered. And that's what the 4 pillars do functionally.
And when we're working this well, we actually tap into this definition of leadership.
Yeah.
And it's taken us 90 years to get to this point.
And we talk about it every day.
Every day. Leadership is an activity. Leaders cause movement.
Yes.
And you're going to cause movement regardless of how you're thinking or how you're being. You're going to cause movement. You'll walk into the office, people have to organize themselves because you're there. So we're interested in how effective is that movement? How effective are you at causing the kind of movement you need to have in order to get what you say you want? Right. That's where leadership comes in. And you can be messy about it, or you can be pretty elegant about it. This definition is intended to move towards elegance, minimal unintended consequences. I don't have to go back and clean up after myself. Leadership is the activity of influencing, not command and control, not telling, not directing, influencing by my state of being, how I show up before I ever open my mouth, influencing others in order to co-create ownership transfers. My idea now becomes our idea. Ownership transfers now, because ownership is transferred, we now have emotional engagement. People want to be a part of this because it's something that they say this is important. And then the coordinated movement, you're going to be causing movement usually into places you've never been before. So you're guaranteed to step on each other's toes. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
How do you coordinate that process so you can keep moving? Well, part of that has to do with making sure you're moving towards something that everybody feels is meaningful, and that's the worthy ideal.
Yeah.
The worthy ideal.
Yeah. I had a great conversation with a client this morning. Again, we talk about this all the time. And by the way, as you watch this, when you want, as you watch the other Power Views, we always talk about this definition. Every time we come out the gate, there's 3 slides that we talk about, which is the model, the framework, definition of leadership, and what a worthy ideal is defined as. Those 3 pieces are the linchpins for you as a leader to help you think through and act as a leader to create that organization that we talk about, that successful team that can scale and grow. But it is fun because when you through this definition, I am working with a client and taking them through things they've never done before.
Yep.
And so they're discovering friction, and they're discovering change, and they're discovering anxiety and being nervous and as they're moving forward. And when you think about that as a leader through this definition, that's its key. Influencing, not command and control. Co-creating, to have ownership. Coordinated movement. How are we going to do this? And how do we plan for what we can't see? And then what is the worthy ideal? What are we moving towards? Yeah. And that's anyway, I'm having fun doing that with the client.
Oh, absolutely. And that worthy ideal, the worthy ideal ends up being, another way of describing it is for the sake of what are we?
Yeah.
For the sake of what are we doing this? Why are we even thinking about doing this?
Right.
You have a crazy thing for us to do. What's the importance of it? It's not your vision. It's not the goals. It's not the objectives. It's not what the stakeholders or the shareholders say is important. It's the answer to what matters. What matters to you personally, to me personally, what matters in this?
Yeah.
That becomes the worthy ideal. And interestingly, this is not something you can tell people. You have to ask the question, tell me, why is this important to you? Why does this matter to you? What do you get to have, do, or be that you wouldn't get to have, do, or be if we weren't going in this direction?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you got 10 people on the team, you will get 10 different answers to that question.
That's true.
At least you'd better get 10 different answers to that question.
I hope you do. I just have to chuckle at the thought of telling people what their worthy ideal is. By the way, your worthy ideal.
Yeah, I know what's best for you.
Here's what matters. So, yes, indeed. Oh,
if you do this well, now you've got a platform where appreciation can be your greatest single lever as a leader to keep things moving well. So let's unbundle this thing.
Let's do it.
Okay. The appreciation meter. Now this is just a kind of a funky little way, kind of a fun little way to actually articulate. It's not one size fits all. When you're talking about recognition, acknowledgement, appreciation, words get used interchangeably, but they don't mean the same thing.
Right.
There's actually a graduation that occurs here if you're paying some attention to this. So let's just kind of jump into recognition. A recognition of the presence of another without any particular comment as to their value or the impact that they're having. It's simply, I see you.
Right.
Period. That's all it is. I was doing some work with one of the large public accounting firms who shall remain nameless at this point in time. Oops.
Yeah.
The dogs just found a deer.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So hold on. I'm going to scare him here for just a moment.
All right. Oh my gosh.
Okay. I got one of them to stop.
There you go. Perfect.
The delivery person.
There you go.
So essentially what we're doing here, when I was talking about this accounting firm, they did something. Can you hear the dog barking in the background?
Barely. You're good.
Barely? Okay.
Barely.
They did something in this, and I was in offices all over the country with them. We were, part of a whole initiative that they were doing. They were looking to how do we retain our junior partners, because they had a lot, if you go back to the symptoms, they had a lot of turnover going on. And that turnover was seriously costly.
Yeah.
So I walked into one of the offices and they did something that they called hoteling.
Oh, yeah.
Hoteling. Yeah. So you'd walk in and nobody said hello to you or anything. You just had a key card. You punched yourself in and you go find an empty cubicle someplace. Sit down, plug your computer in, and you do whatever it is that you're going to do. When you're done, you just get up and you take your key card and you punch out again. Nobody, none of the managers, nothing. It was just a big bullpen in the center. All the managers sat around the office. They all had windowed offices on the periphery of the building. The bullpen was where all the junior associates were in. So we were looking at that and going, nobody was ever recognized for even showing up. We didn't know if they showed up until we looked at the timesheets at the end of the day. And when that happened, we started looking at, okay, what's a simple fix here? How about if you guys just came out of your office periodically during the day and just walked around and said, hey, it's good to see you here today. Thanks for coming in. It's good to have you here. That simple move, they didn't do anything except, I see you're here. Thank you for being here today.
Right.
That simple move began to move the needle on retention. That simple little move. I simply see that you're here. The need for people to feel recognized, seen. Who am I? Where do I belong? If you're not giving me information about who am I, oh, you're somebody that belongs here. That's kind of cool. Where do I belong? Ah, I see that you have a place here. Those two questions start to get answered in people's minds and they kind of settle. It's kind of, okay, this is where I belong right now.
Yeah.
Simple recognition.
I love that because we forget about it's, as a leader, when you're caught up in the do, and particularly in an environment where you're hoteling, which a lot of organizations still do, because we went to everybody remote, and then it's the debate about people back or not back or fractional, whatever, all the different terms behind it. But it is about that I love your statement there, Blaine, because it is about that. Hey, it's good to see you.
Just good, yeah. And it doesn't take anything to do that. You just got to get out of your chair and go move.
Yeah, right. And give them it's good to see you. How are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Acknowledge it. And it just becomes that it is, well, we'll get to that other part later, but it is that recognition. And as part, we are, which is fun, because I think one of the things that I've always heard and used to talk about is by our very nature, we're tribal.
Yes. Yeah.
We are a tribal species. And one of the components of being a member of a tribe is being recognized. We're wired to be that.
Yep.
And recognition,
where do I belong?
Recognition is that key to, I'm in the tribe. I belong here.
And if I'm not recognized, I don't feel like I belong.
Right. And we know what that is. In the 50s, they got wallflowers. Remember wallflowers?
Yes, wallflowers, yes.
Right. At the local prom or the dance or where in high school, back before we had electricity.
Yeah. We powered the music system by wood fire.
Hand crank, exactly.
Hand crank.
But it is that when you're in that position, that creates, you become you're outside of the body of the group.
Yep.
And that creates a gap which recognition helps solve. And it's no more. And I love the fact how simple it is. It's exactly what you talk about, Blaine. It is the recognition of their presence. It's just glad to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glad you're here
together.
Yeah.
We're sharing here together.
Exactly. No more than that.
Yes. And the next level up about that, see, now we have not got to appreciation yet.
No.
Now we're at acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement, not only, and it's a recognition. First of all, it's based on recognition. I see that you're here. And now that I see that you're here, I want to just make a comment about what you've done that has actually had impact. How are they a contributor? How are
Yeah.
they a contributor? It's good to see you here today, Dolan. I was thinking about you just the other day, and what came to mind was a project that we were working on together, and how you had formulated an action plan that was just, I mean, it was unexpected for me to get it, but it made a big difference. I mean, it was kind of like, I want to just acknowledge the fact that you took that extra step.
Yeah, that elicits from that. Now there's a connection. Not only do you recognize me, but you know something about me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that makes a huge difference. Now the key here is it takes recognition and it embeds in recognition a factual statement of impact.
Yes.
I noticed this. Here's the impact of that.
Yes. Yeah, it can't be inauthentic.
No. And the power in it is the referencing to something that you both recognize as having happened. And so there's an assessment that goes on here. And here's the power of assessments. Assessments open possibilities and they close possibilities.
Yeah.
So acknowledgement really is the activity of making an assessment of impact.
Right.
And that opens a possibility for further connection, for further participation, for further engagement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Very much.
A powerful way to move.
Yeah. I love this. This is the meat and taters of working with your people. This is the meat and tater stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're doing this part well, you move into a true appreciation. What's the difference that they bring, and how is it making a difference to what we're doing?
Right.
It's an explicit recognition of the ways, plural, oftentimes, that their actions and impact have made our lives better. Yeah, it's kind of like literally saying, the last 3 weeks you have been doing X, Y, and Z, and it has really facilitated our ability to engage with this client in ways that we hadn't thought that we could, because we thought this was going to be a difficult client. But the way that you showed up and interfaced with that client has really made it easier for us to do X. Mm-hmm. That is a little bit more elaboration. It's not just a comment on impact, but it's a comment on how it's actually affected our experience together.
Yeah.
And that's big.
Yeah. It is that thread, and as we're heading into kind of the last part of this, but it is that piece of that we talk about with individuals. So it's not only just recognizing the impact, but the ways and actions. What is it that you did that had that impact? What did you do to improve an outcome?
Yep.
To make my life better, or to do something we hadn't thought of before. It is that thank you.
It is. And thank you is embedded in that. Yeah. It's the difference that made a difference. And thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That gratitude.
That gratitude, which actually leads us to this final piece. When you look at high-performing teams, it's really difficult to tell who the formal leader is on a high-performing team. But one of the things that you'll notice is that everybody's basically got everybody else's back. I got your back on this. Don't worry about it. I got your back on that. Don't worry about it. It's a commentary, ongoing regard is a recognition and a sincere honoring of who they are, who they are, enables us to be so much better, and how it enables me to be better as a person. Basically, it's a description of interdependence. We couldn't do what we're doing without the gift of who you are being brought to the table.
Yes.
That is an ongoing regard. It's subjective as well as objective. It's embedded in conversation. It's embedded in tonality. You're giving people the benefit of the doubt as a natural way of interacting with them, because they will stub their toes, but I've got your back. Who you are is so important to me. I'm willing to forgive this as we move in this direction. We'll course correct. This is where you start looking at coordinated movement. How does that actually occur? It occurs when you have ongoing regard.
Right. That's critically important. You can't get to coordinated movement without, you can in a bumpy kind of wonky, very technical term, wonky. You can kind of get there. You can kind of get there. It's funny you mentioned it, but you talk about high performing teams, and one of the things that I once participated in an exercise with an organization, and we had strangers in the room. And to determine whether we had a high performing team, the question was, who's in charge?
Mm-hmm.
And these were people that didn't know us and just observed the meeting and observed what's going on. And then at the very end, tell me who's in charge. And when you have when you really are at stride with at the end of the day, if a decision's being made, somebody's going to call the ball.
Yeah.
But if in most cases, it was a wonderful experience to have them go, I watched most of the meeting, and up until this point, it was impossible to determine who was in charge, because the team was divided, because there was enough regard, and all of that regard, appreciation, the impact, all of that going on. And by the time we got to the end, until you called the ball, we didn't know, couldn't tell.
Okay. And this is the real power when you can understand this. Now you have the ability to leverage diversity in the workplace. You now have the ability to invite diversity into the workplace, because now it's a function of, you bring something to the table that I couldn't bring. You bring a perspective, you bring a skill set, you bring a talent, you bring a way of listening that I couldn't bring.
Yeah.
And I value that diverse point of view, and so handmaiden to that is, I want to include you. So diversity and inclusion. I mean, all of a sudden now we have a game that we can play. I hate sports analogies, but I'm going to use them anyway. The Chicago Bulls, when they were in their stride, the ongoing regard that each of the team members had for each other. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman. I mean, how these guys actually worked together, that you could not have had more different characters.
Right.
But they had each other's backs.
Right.
They knew each other well enough that you could do a behind the head pass and know that Scotty was going to be right there to grab it.
Right. It's funny. We're using there's a couple of words that we're using that can have multiple connotations to diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion, there is a side connotation for the leaders, for you folks listening. There's a side connotation. We hear conversations around DEI, and there's all kinds of stuff that comes around it. In your organization, when Blaine and I are talking about diversity and inclusion, we're talking about the diversity of thinking, not diversity for the sake of diversity.
Right.
And inclusion for the fact that when you are thinking of diversity of thinking, zones of genius that help you get to a place you couldn't have gotten to otherwise. Inclusion means you want those people in the room.
Yep, absolutely. I want to hear divergent opinions. I absolutely
all the time.
If I've got agreement around the table, I got something wrong.
Get other people.
Get other people. Absolutely. So this is the notion unbundled. Appreciation unbundled.
Yes.
We've got recognition, acknowledgement, appreciation, and then ongoing regard. And there is an emotional engaging component that occurs as you go up this spectrum. I'll call it a spectrum. You get to ongoing regard, you're getting the best of everybody at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah. Recognition, at least you've got somebody that is identifying with the tribe. Okay. Now, what do you do with that? How do you actually begin to work with it? None of these cost money.
No.
So as a leader, this is a very high ROI investment of your time to just get out there and pay attention.
Right. Yeah.
You're causing movement. What kind of movement are you getting from the people? Are they doing something because they have to or because they want to? That's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and I think it's just to kind of put a button on it. As a leader, when you're working with your organizations, and you may be new in your organization, you may not know all these things about your team, but get to know them. And I've worked with leaders before, Blaine, who were uncomfortable with these 4 steps.
Mm-hmm.
just because I don't know. I have a hard time telling people, walking around and talking to people. And I'm not comfortable. I have a hard time telling people, great, thank you. And it's like, and from, this old white hair guy position, my answer has always been really pretty straightforward. Get comfortable.
Get comfortable. Yeah. Just stop it. Just go out there and do it.
Get comfortable.
Do the do. Get comfortable.
Yeah. Go get comfortable.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, that's a sign that we need to begin to move here.
Yeah. Okay, we got to move. Let's go.
I've got a board meeting coming up, so that's a reminder for it.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's a good day. Those are good days.
So,
yes, there are other things we do. So what happens next? What happens next? You want to do this?
This was kind of a messy show today. We had the internet collapse on us. We had the dogs barking. I've got board reminders kicking off in the background.
Yeah, don't try this at home, kids. Don't do this.
So you get to watch this again if you want to.
That's right.
It's not just one and done. I mean, obviously, this is live on both Dolan's and my LinkedIn feeds.
Right.
And it'll be up for a while. It's live on my Instagram. It's live on my Facebook. Right. So, you can go back and revisit that from the live perspective. We also have created a library. Each of these Power of You sessions goes into the library. And in addition to just the video itself, we also have a curated PDF of all of the slides that go along with today's edition. And this Power of You, this curated library is available right now. The entire library of leadership topics, and we're coming up on 30 plus topics, I think now.
Yep.
It's pretty extensive.
Yeah.
And, from decision making to trust. We spent a full day or a full session on defining that leadership activity. Just taking each of those elements and really parsing them down. Where does spirit exist in business? The idea of consciousness. Everything is consciousness. What does that mean? How do you translate that into leadership activity?
Right.
I mean, all of these are available. Some of them are single videos, one topic. Some of them are a series. The Leading Quality was a 5-video series. We literally spent a little bit more than a month going through Deming's 14 principles. The 5 lies, we parsed those down into 3 different video sets. So there's a lot of content here, folks, and there's more content being added every single week.
Yep.
And where do you find it? Yeah, go to this URL.
Go there.
Be the easiest place to do it.
Yeah.
Power of You.
And I would recommend just the last 60 seconds so Blaine can get to his board meeting. If the last 60 seconds is do that. Look, as a leader, it's critically important that you stay in the study. We cover a lot of topics, and the intention behind all of it is to put these topics into your hands so that you can apply them, but learn them, master them, go teach them. Nothing happens better until you go teach. When you go teach it, boy, the world changes. Yep. And teach it to your team and build continuity and build the kind of performance, understanding, mindset, the imagination, the spirit in your organization that you're seeking. Use this as a tool to create a better outcome for you and for those that you have custody of. So go click that link and go do that. Matter of fact, do it now.
Do it now. Just go do it. Take action.
Do it now.
Leader.blainebartlett.com, power-of-you. The Power of You. It is available. And like I said, it's being added to every single week.
There you go.
So on that note,
Doctor, enjoy your board meeting.
I will do that.
Enjoy it and enjoy the satellite-less sky.
Yeah, I got to figure out what's going on with that. That was very strange.
It was wild. Anyway, have a great rest of the afternoon. Thanks for those of you being here, supporting us in Power of You and watching it and joining our community. Appreciate you. Grateful for all of you. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Yeah.
Noonish. We'll be out here.
Noonish on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. We're everywhere.
We're here. We're all over it. So come see us.
See you later.
Bye.